Throwing this video together with a camcorder that I have in my shop now. It's a Samsung F-40. The video resolution is pretty bad on this. It's supposed to be widescreen, but it's terrible quality. But it's good for close-ups. And I just want to show you, one of my viewers, and I answered the question, said that there's something behind there, something dark or something behind this board. There's nothing behind this board. I got this out. This was relatively easy. You had two nuts on the outside, on these studs that went through here, over here, and on negative, you had this little piece of plastic. It looked like it broke off over here, and it was off center a little bit, but it wasn't touching the chassis, because I took a ohm meter reading before I even removed this, and I've done it, the other day, and there's no resistance between here and the case. Okay, so what I did is I put a rubber grommet in there. See that right there? So I turn this around a little bit here. Okay, on this one there's a hard plastic insert that protects this stud from shorting out against the case. Well, this had nothing in it, so I got a box of rubber grommets, a package of them from Harbor Freight there. Am I on camera here? That I bought several months ago, and now I can just push that through, and I don't have to worry about that shorting onto the case. Now, I wanted to make this video, and this camera can do pretty good on the close-ups, not great quality. There is two wires on here. I just couldn't see it from the angle I was looking at. I was looking at it this way, and it was off on my assumption there, and the negatives go here, and this negative here does not go to this negative. It goes down here where my finger's pointing, right down there. And the same with the other wire. There's two black wires. It goes to the other board. And John Svita says that this assembly will come out. Yes, I've seen these screws in here. Of course, I didn't notice this one until I pulled this out. But between the panels here, right here, 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 and over here, are the mounting screws for this heatsink that mounts to the case. These here screws, very hard to get this camera where I'm pointing here. It's way off in parallax error. Okay, there it is. I haven't used this camera in a while. And boy, the editing's going to be fast on this one, because this is 640 by 480. Alright, but I wanted to just throw this video together, so it's nothing fancy. But you see these here, those are the screws for the rectifiers, which I won't have to take out, because take you around the circle here. There's notches in the case, so this thing will slide right up with the, in other words, I can keep the rectifiers on this board, and all I can do is unplug them. So my worry is I buy 6 transistors for this, 2N3771s. I put them in, and what if they all blow out? This is the back of one of the transistors, the only one I could reach at the time. Now that I got this board out, I can test them all, and I'll do that. This is the collector, but I don't know whether this is the emitter or that's the emitter. You know, I have to depend on the, you know, looking at the transistor when it's removed. But sometimes they're marked. But let me get a reading of it. As I recall, I got several megohms between the collector and here, but don't quote me on it. Let me give you those readings now off camera. I'll give them to you on camera, but I'll test it off camera. And one of them was like 3 ohms or something like that. So let me go all the way down the line here, now that I can reach this. And before I do that, there's nothing burnt on this board. And I really don't know where the voltage regulator is. I asked. Maybe that's it right there in that black heat sink where my finger is right there. And I just spotted a diode down in there. Maybe that's the Zener they're talking about. And there's some chips in here. I don't know if you can see that. I don't expect this camera to do all that good on close-ups, but looking at the viewfinder, it looks pretty clear to me. This board would not be hard for me to get out. All I'd have to do is to take... There's 3 nuts on here. One holds it directly to the board, and I'm off camera again. This camera can really get off camera very easily. There's 2 nuts here, so I'd have to take those off, take out the wires, take out the black wires, take out the red wires, unplug the yellow, which I think that's plugged. I can't tell. If not, I'm going to have to cut it or unsolder it. Unplug the blue, and all I got to do is take the board, and so that'll be out of the way. You noticed I got the switch back in? All of a sudden the switch started working. I had it in my pocket ready to go to Lowe's when I got the extra money to go down there and get the switch. So I said, what the heck, I'm going to take and put an ohm meter between here, and I flipped the switch, and it works. It was open. I didn't put no contact cleaner in here or anything. So it started working. So I put it back in, and it's working. You know, it's only a 10 amp rated switch, and the fuse in here is 15, so it's an underrated switch, really. The switch should be rated for at least 15 amps and preferably 20, because there's a surge when this kicks in. And I'm sure there's a lot of sparking in there. But anyways, that switch is working. And also, on these wires here, one of my viewers, and I don't recall who it is, pointed out that it looked like a loose solder connection. Well, they're tight. They're not loose. But thank you for pointing that out, because, you know, every piece of information I can get helps me a lot. So let me take a ohm meter reading of these transistors. That's just some number or something. I can't quite tell what that is there. There's a number underneath there, but... Okay, let me test that. Alright. 2.8 meg. Between emitter and base. I'm not sure which is the base and which is the emitter. When I turn it around, and I've done this off camera, I have a heck of a time trying to do this and hold the camera too. It's reading over limit, in other words, infinity. Okay, and that's what I'm getting on that. Well, I got 2.9 meg, and then I got 5 point something meg. I'm going all over the place. As I really can't tell, I got to pull these transistors out in order to test them. It's very, very hard to get in there. Okay, so between here and here, I told you it was 2.9 meg, and when I reverse the leads, you know, I'm getting 2.9 meg with the red lead, and I'm off camera again, as always. Red lead on this side, and black lead over here. When I reverse them, it's infinity, in other words, over limit. So let me check between collector and the base and the emitter. I don't know, like I say, I don't know which is which. I'm no good at transistor stuff. If it's marked, and I'm looking at the bottom of the transistor and it marks, if it's marked emitter and base, because on these type of transistors, if they're not marked, I don't know what is emitter and what is base. There's supposed to be a difference, like the emitter and base is a little closer to one end than the other, but there's so little difference that I get them mixed up all the time. So I use that transistor. I miss my Super Cricket because that used to identify the leads of your transistor. Okay, so anyways, let me check between collector and here, and I'll get back to you on the video. Okay, between the collector, which is this nut right here, to either the emitter or the base, and I don't know what this is, I'm getting 3 meg one lead direction and 30 meg the other way. From the collector to this terminal, I'm getting 0.4 of an ohm in both directions. So I don't know what that tells you, but I really don't know. So I'm going to put this back now that I got this bushing put in here. I'm going to put that back. I just wanted to make this video to show you, a couple of my viewers, that he pointed out that there's something burnt behind here and there was a board behind it. There is no board behind this. Also, somebody mentioned about the electrolytics being swelled. There's nothing on that. I checked all this with my microscope eyelope, but let me do it again on video. I got a light behind me. Hopefully it's not going to be too much of a glare. You can look at those. They're smooth. I'm looking directly at them and they're nice and smooth. They're not bulgy. There they are right there. Alright. And over here, the best I can do, they're not bulgy. As close as I can tell, they look good to me. Okay, that's the end of this video. I'll put this up tonight. It shouldn't be very long to edit this at all. It'll be just quick, bing, bing, bang, bang, zoom, zoom.